So recording again. Recording on this. Okay, so welcome to part 2. Sorry, there was a network problem. So let's start again. Acha, where were we? What we said was the grocery market in Shatmojid Road area. There are 3 very big superstores, and in the entire Dhanmondi area, there are many small superstores. This is one type of a market where some small firms dominate the entire industry, and there are many small firms that are scattered throughout the entire industry. Why does this happen? That we will look at, but this is known as a concentrated market. And like I said before the break, in your textbook you will see 4 firms. Naturally, if you think about Dhaka or you think about Kathmandu or Pokhara, you will find a place where there are only 2 big firms and there are many small firms. In this example, I have said 3. So this 4 is actually an American definition. It's a legal definition. So that's why it's 4. But it can be 5, it can be 3. That's not a problem. Then we have another type of market where the market is fragmented. Okay, fragmented means naturally it's fragmented into small farms. Again, we go to the Dhanmondi area. If we omit those 3 large superstores in Shatmojid Road, then we will have many small grocery shops entire Dhanmondi area. Okay, which are a local monopoly in their relevant market, but in entire Dhanmondi area, they are a small player. Now, this is a very interesting type of market that we want to explore. This is called consolidated market. Acha, is anybody here old enough to remember Ranks Telecom? RANKS, Ranks Telecom.
Yes, sir.
Okay, lovely. What was the speciality of Ranks Telecom? Do you know?
ভুলে গেছি।
ভুলে গেছো?
স্যার
Okay.
ওয়্যারলেস হ্যান্ডসেট ছিল।
Wireless handset ছিল? No, that was CityCell. CityCell. Ranks Telecom. What Ranks Telecom was? Ranks Telecom was a regional operator. It operated mainly in Dhaka city and Chittagong city. Now, today you are familiar with Banglalink telecom provider, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Before Banglalink came to the market, the company was known as Sheba. Does anybody remember?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Sheba was a very regional mobile phone operator with markets only in Dhaka and Chittagong and nowhere else in the country. So what happens? Some markets over time, okay, the number of firms decline. So if we look at the telecom carriers in Bangladesh from 2000 to 2005, we will see there was another phone called Jubok phone that operated in Mymensingh area. But nowadays you will not hear about those firms. Only there are 4 carriers now: Grameenphone, Robi, Banglalink, and our national carrier Teletalk. But in 2000 to 2005, there were quite a few carriers. So what happens over time? The number of firms decline for many reasons. There are economic reasons, there are political reasons, there are a number of reasons. So what we are going to do, we're going to look at some industries like this. Telecom carriers, cigarette and tobacco is also another example. And then we try to ask ourselves, why is the number of firms declining? Is there a logical reason behind it, or it is premedicated? Okay, then, acha, we have been obsessed about this topic, haven't we? Threat of substitutes and complements. Have we been obsessed about substitutes and complements in elasticity of demand?
Yes, sir. Yes.
So what we are
Yes,
going to
sir.
do, we are going to look at situations where how difficult or easy are substitutes available in a relevant market. Let me give you an example, okay? Let me stop share. I hate looking at this, what do you call it? This screen. সেটা হচ্ছে, let me pin myself now. Is there anybody in our class who uses an iPhone? Apple's
Yes, sir.
iPhone. Okay, so there
Yes,
are some.
sir.
Okay, lovely. So we have some people here who use an iPhone. Now, iPhone is has a very special characteristic. It uses a very special cable, which is known as the lightning cable, right?
Yeah.
And this lightning cable will not operate in any other phone of any other company. So if you try to take the lightning cable and put it in an Android phone or some other phone, mobile phone, it's not going to work. So what clever marketing policy has Apple done? You can buy the iPhone, but when you need to replace the lightning cable, you have to buy an Apple approved lightning cable, right?
Yeah, that's true.
So
They,
what happens?
they
Even if
create
Apple,
problem earlier and they sell the solution afterward.
sorry, somebody said something.
They first created the problem, the lighting connector, and then they sell the solution.
Okay, nah, that's what I'm saying. The thing is, we might be tempted that that Apple has given a particular phone at a very cheap price, but after some time we find out we have to use a particular type of complement, the lightning cable. Acha. Now, no matter what car people in Bangladesh use, have you noticed there are very few mobile companies? Every car needs mobile to run on, right?
Yes, sir.
But how many mobile companies are there? Very few, 3 or 4. Okay, so
Yes,
the thing
yes,
is,
sir.
so if you are thinking of buying a car or looking at a car market, you have to look at the associate your linkage markets as well. So what we are interested to will be looking at is how difficult or easy are substitutes available in a relevant market. Number one, sometimes firms do not worry about these things. Apple, lightning cable, I've given you an example. But what happens with, say, Samsung? You can use the Samsung Type C from, say, Huawei. You can use the Samsung Type C from another carrier, Xiaomi, right? Can't you do that?
Yes, sir.
So what we were going to look at, the why do farms sometimes make substitutes unavailable, or sometimes they don't bother to do that. That depends on your managerial skills. That depends on your other various capacities. So this is what we will try to look at in the particular market, that how do substitutes and complements influence market power. Or sometimes we will see that the firms are not even interested in these things. That was just an example with iPhone. Now, this is a very interesting argument. Those of us who are in Bangladesh, we sometimes go and we in the media we come across the word syndicate, right?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
And what does the syndicate do? They are a group of firms that set the price or set certain quantities which others find it very difficult to match. For example, now Ramadan is coming, knocking at the door. These syndicates are going to join together and raise the price of the goods to make some quick profits during Ramadan. Okay. So, but what we are going to look at is, for example, we look at Karan Bazaar. Is everybody familiar with Karan Bazaar?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, Karan Bazaar is just a place where you can buy lots of gross food and other stuff at a wholesale rate. Now, why is that in the fish selling part of Karan Bazaar, a certain number of farms, there are a certain number of fish sellers? There's two reasons. Number one, every economic activity or human activity has a capacity, an upper limit. We have said this many times in the course. So the Karwan Bazaar is geographically located in a particular part of Dhaka city. That bazaar also has a certain capacity, so it cannot accommodate more than a certain number of fish sellers. Okay. Another thing is the syndication. There is a managing committee in Karan Bazaar who will not allow anybody to come and sell fish. Isn't that true?
True.
So now, by restricting the entry, Karan Bazaar can ensure a certain services to its buyers. Whether that is done from an economic point of view, that a certain number of firms can exist, not more than that, or whether it happens through syndication. We automatically think that syndication is bad, but syndication is sometimes needed in order to ensure some quality, right? So what we want to think is, why do what are the arguments of behaving like this? Okay. Now, power of buyers. We have defined a market by the number of sellers. Okay, no problem. But the problem is Dhaka Wasa is a monopoly. I think your name is Nanshu, right? The friend from Nepal.
Yes, sir.
Okay, you live in which city are you living in?
I'm living in Bhaktapur.
Bhaktapur. Okay,
So,
okay,
yeah.
lovely. And in your Bhaktapur, how many water suppliers are there? One? Is there one water supplier? Piped water, drinking water?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, there
And
is.
it's
There is.
and it's a government supply, right?
Yeah, it's a government one.
Okay. Same situation with Bangladesh. In Dhaka city, we have a monopoly. It's called WASA, Water and Sewerage Authority. In Chittagong, we also have a government monopoly. Now, just because you are a single seller does not mean that you are a single buyer. When Dhaka Wasa buys pumps, is it buying as a single buyer or a competitive buyer? Dhaka Wasa or the government water agency in Bhaktapur, they are monopolies. They will only they can provide water in their relevant market. But when they want to buy pumps to maintain their infrastructure, are they a single buyer in the pump market, or they are a competitive buyer? There are other buyers as well. So
Definitely
you're
other
aware.
buyers over there.
So the thing is, even if you are a monopoly in the product market, in the factor market, you are a competitive buyer. This is also another issue.
Yes, sir.
So, and also in the case of Bhaktapur, they may be, that government agency may be the monopoly to supply water there. But when they want to buy something or hire somebody even, then they are not a single buyer. They are a competitive buyer. So we are going to look at that as well. Acha. This one is very interesting. This will introduce us to game theory. Has anybody heard the term game theory?
No, sir.
Yes.
Honestly, sir, but
No,
ভুলে
sir.
গেছি।
Okay,
Yes, sir.
lovely. Some people haven't heard, some people have. Those of you who have heard, you probably heard the word game theory from Beautiful Mind
A
cinema, right?
beautiful mind. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, is there anybody in the class who are two brothers and sisters, or two brothers or two sisters?
I have three brothers.
Yes, sir.
Uh,
Two brothers.
okay, now three brothers is not going to work. Who said you are two brothers?
Sir, I said.
Acha, what's your name?
Mutasim Fuad.
Acha, Mutasim Fuad. Okay. So you're the elder brother or the younger brother?
Sir, I'm the younger.
Okay. Now your mother, she brings a cake every day. She cuts it exactly in 50-50. Okay, half. She gives one half to you and one half to your brother. Don't you think that your mother is giving your brother a little bit more, even if it is 2 crumbs more? Do you think so?
Yes, sir.
Okay, lovely. And your brother is also thinking the same. Okay, since you're the younger brother, you're the younger child of the family. You're being pampered by your mother. He's also thinking the same thing, right?
Yes, sir.
So now your mother, she's a wise lady. She finds out. So what she did, next day she comes and with the cake, and she gives you the knife. She says, okay, you cut the cake into 2 pieces, but your elder brother will choose the first piece. What will you do? Cut the cake exactly into 50-50?
Yes, sir. I will cut it into half.
Why will you cut it into half? Because your decision is now depending on your other elder brother's decision, right?
Yes, sir.
So this is known as interdependent decision making. And this is what game theory is about. So what happens in this cake cutting game, when your mother was cutting on her own, you thought that your elder brother is being pampered. Your elder brother thought that you were being pampered. And that's quite natural. That's how sibling rivalry comes. But the moment your mom gave you the cake and the knife, okay, you cut, but your brother will choose the first part. So what happens in these type of situations? What we do, we have to think about the response. For example, Grameenphone and Robi, these two are the largest mobile phone operators in Bangladesh. If Grameenphone wants to launch a product, will it independently make a decision, or it will think what response Robi will do if we do this?
Definitely, they will consider the other person.
Person's response, right?
Yes, sir.
That means the decision making there is interdependent. Interdependent decision, we will be doing it in detail later, but interdependent means my decision depends on you or your response. Your decision depends on me, i.e. my response. Got it now?
Yes,
Huh?
sir.
So this is where we will try to introduce game theory as we won't be able to do too much, but at least enough for you to get interested about it. Now, this is very interesting. This is related to sunk costs. If the entering cost into a market is very high, then the exit cost is also high. Tomorrow morning, if you decide to sell bananas in front of your house, you can just start tomorrow morning from the money you have in your wallet. After 2 days, if you decide you don't like it, you can come back home. But if you commit yourself to establishing a mobile phone industry, can you just make a decision 2 days later that I will come back?
No, sir.
You can't. So if the barrier to entry determines power in a market, barriers of exit also determines power in a market. This is where we are going to extend the concept of sunk costs. So far, we have said sunk costs don't affect our decision. Before we came to BRAC, we had many options. Now we are in BRAC, the previous decisions or previous options no longer exist. But when we talk about barriers of exit, then we talk about sunk costs. Okay, so sunk costs we will discuss later. And this is just to pass. Just because a farm has 50% of the market share, does it mean that it enjoys monopoly power? A farm has 50% of market share. Does this necessarily imply that the farm has market power?
Sir, market power তো আছে এটা তো বুঝাই যায় অবশ্যই।
No, not necessarily. That's why I use the word necessarily. I have a farm. The farm enjoys 50% market share. Does that mean I'm enjoying market power? Suppose there are
No,
two farms in a neighborhood, two groceries. Both of them enjoy exactly 50-50 of the market. Does that mean that anyone has any dominant market share?
no, sir.
No, sir.
So this is you will see in your text there is a myth of the market share. People sometimes think that market share means market power. No. what is my market share in relation to other sellers? That determines my market share if I want to use the market share concept. For example, in this slide, we've given an example. There are 4 firms, each have 25% market share. So this is just as good as perfect competition. Okay, a market share is a static concept. It can change over time. Okay, so what I'm going to do, this is the end of okay. This is the end of the introduction to markets. And now what we're going to do, we're going to review some concepts from week 2, 3, 4, and 5. Yes, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes, these 4 weeks. The first week, we did not cover any ground. We basically started the course from week 2. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to stop the recording and make a third part. So in part 3, you can see what we have reviewed for the midterm, okay? All right?
Sir, এটাও রেকর্ডিং করা থাক।
না না রেকর্ডিং আমি করছি। I'm stopping the recording here and I'm starting a new part.
Oh, sir, okay.
So when I upload it as part 3, you will know that part 3 is basically what we have discussed in the midterm, okay?
Okay, sir.
Okay, so I'll stop the recording now and start a new recording. Okay, recording. Oh, recording to stop.
Sir,